Welcome everybody and good evening. I'm Mike Brazel. I'm the District 3 Director, and welcome to everyone who was able to meet in person today, and welcome to those who are joining us virtually as well. I want to thank you for making the decision to join us this evening. Our members are at the center of our mission, and your attendance at this meeting and active participation allow us to hear directly from you. So later on, we're going to have some questions, and you're able to ask some questions. We welcome those. We're able to share information on innovative ways we're working to keep the cost of energy as low as possible for you and your families, and we can use this time to inform and educate our members, you, as openly as possible about important issues within our state and the future of our industry. Gatherings like this are the cooperative model in action. That's why this past April, Lake Region Electric Cooperative CEO Tim Thompson appeared before the Minnesota State House Committee as an advocate for keeping the governance of your co-op on a local level. He expressed that decisions on members' behalf are best made by a local board elected in communities where they live, by those they serve, rather than someone in St. Paul. We want to make sure we're giving you opportunities to provide your input and encourage you to attend our upcoming annual meeting and our energy forum, as well as other grassroots events such as Coffee with the Co-op, and stay engaged and continue to make your voice heard. Another legislative issue we're facing, and this is a big one, one that I'm pretty passionate about and talking about it, is the Minnesota carbon-free by 2040 standard that was passed last year by the governor and the House and Senate. As the mandate from traditional fossil fuels toward additional renewables begins to take place and plans for specific projects are announced, we can see that the coming months and years represent the beginning of a unique set of challenges for us, unprecedented in our industry. As communicated in November of last year, this energy transition and the spending required to address the need for high voltage transmission throughout the state have led to an increase in our power costs and are the main drivers in the need to pass those additional costs on to our members. Detailed information on these changes that will be presented later in this meeting is just a part of our commitment to keep you up to date as possible as we can. I want to say here real quick, one of the things that why I'm passionate about this is about reliability. And sometimes that legislation gets a little bit in the way of that reliability with all the new renewables. So anyway, we'll talk more about it. That said, we have positive news to share as well. Since the last time we met, the number of Lake Region consumers has grown to over 30,000 in our service territory, and our rates continue to be among the lowest in our peer group of area co-ops and co-ops of the same size. Feedback from our members on our service over the past year is overwhelmingly positive. Despite recently implementing a rate change, results from our 2024 member satisfaction survey rated us a 9 out of 10 in terms of overall satisfaction, with almost half of those respondents giving us a perfect 10, which was great to see. We see our cooperative in a strong financial position with equity at 46%, and have developed additional revenue streams such as our natural gas business and standby generator program, which help offset some of the costs. We're keeping our eye on future grid improvements and reliability as well. The board recently approved a new 4-year construction work plan, including $35 million that will go toward plowing new underground power lines, substation improvements, pole replacements, and other equipment upgrades from through 2028. For the 12th consecutive year, our longtime members received a capital credit over $1 million this year. And the anticipated announcement of new era funding will allow us to work together with other co-ops in developing a new solar project that will help hedge against future power cost increases. I'm excited to announce that we are once again holding 3 in-person annual meeting locations. Hopefully some of you have taken advantage of that in this area. There's going to be one at Life Church in Fergus Falls, and then 2 satellite locations where the meeting will be streamed on a big screen. One at the Frazee Event Center and one at the Prairie Event Center in Parker's Prairie. I know it was pretty popular because we had a pretty full house at the Frazee Event Center when I was there at the annual meeting last year. The meeting will be live streamed as well for those of you that cannot attend in person. The annual meeting will take place on April 24th at 6:30 p.m. with dinner before the meeting at each of the 3 locations. And then I want to mention also that we've enjoyed record attendance because of that. The 3 locations virtually, we've had up to 1,300 members attend, which is quite a turnout for our membership. So we're looking forward to seeing you in April. If you're joining us virtually tonight, please use the chat feature at any time during the meeting if you have questions. As I mentioned earlier, we will be responding to questions from those of you that are here in person or live streaming at the end. Tim Thompson, our CEO, after his presentation. If we did not get to your question today, we will follow up. One of the staff people will follow up with you to make sure we get your question answered, all right? We need a meeting chair for this district meeting to preside over the nomination process that we're going to do tonight. I would propose that our attorney, Chad Fellstool, is right here, be the meeting chair for the district meeting. Does anyone have any other nominees to act as the chair of the meeting? Did you have one? No. This is for chair of the meeting, not for the director position. Okay. All right. So so thank you. We'll just have the chairman of the meeting is Chad Fellstool. All right. If a vote is needed for candidates for the board of directors, voting will occur in person by paper ballot. The voting process will only be needed if we have more than 2 nominees for the candidate director position. If there is only one candidate nominated, no voting is required, and he or she will be placed in the ballot and elected by acclamation, unless there is a petition candidate, which is another form of getting on the ballot, and then both the nominated candidate and the petition candidate will be placed in the ballot. I'm glad you could join us and learn more about Lake Region Electric Cooperative and participate in local democracy and participating in the nomination process. So thank you for coming. Before we begin the nomination process, I want to introduce the rest of the board of directors. Their pictures and district are listed on the screen there. So Kurt Kruger from Rossay area in District 1 is right there. He's our vice chair. Cecil Bud Hensel from Frazee area is in the back there. He's our secretary treasurer. I'm Mike Brazer from District 3, and I'm the Great River Energy representative. Lee Minderman from Dent area is the District 4. Lee is not here tonight? No, okay. Patrick Myers from the Cormorant area is District 5. Charlie Blix from the Pelican Rapids area is District 6. Tom Jenin from Fergus Falls area is District 7. Tom is also our chair, board chair. Jim Gronbeck from the Battle Lake area is in District 8. And we have Gary Olson here as well from the Parkers Prairie area in District 9. That's your board of directors. All right. Our meeting continues now with nominations. So our meeting chair will guide us through the process. So Chad, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mike. Good evening, everyone. There are 2 ways that an individual can become a nominee to be placed on the ballot at the annual meeting. The first way is the reason that you're all here tonight is through the district nomination process. The second way is through a petition process where and that occurs after the district meeting tonight, and that's where you have to obtain 50 original signatures from members in the district, in this district, and there are other requirements that are found in our bylaws in Article 4, Section 4.4b. As chairman for this district meeting, I have appointed Candace Rush to act as our recording secretary. I have also appointed Mark Dombach and Kurt Schreer if we need to have a vote. And like Mike said, we'll only need to have a vote if there are more than 2 nominees tonight. And the tellers would physically count the ballots, and then we would report and certify the results to the members that are here. Since there are more than 10 members here present tonight, I declare that we have a quorum. When you're making a nomination, I would ask that you speak clearly, identify yourself, spelling your name, as well as stating and spelling the name of the individual that you are nominating for the director position. Are there any questions about the nomination process? Hearing no questions, I declare the nomination process to be open. The nomination process will be open for 2 minutes. Are there any nominations? Yes, ma'am. Oh, he's got a mic right behind you.
My name is Kathleen Rosenthal, KathleenRosenthal, and I nominate Perry Schwanz, Perry Swanz.
The first name was Perry?
Perry.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other nominations? Yes, sir. What is your name, please? Oh, there's a mic right behind you, if you could speak into that, please, just so people online can hear you.
Gerald Wandry, Geraldwanderi. Mike Brazel is Mikebrasel. There you go.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? One final time. Any other nominations? Hearing none, I need a motion to close nominations. If someone would be willing to make that motion and state their name, please. Yes, ma'am.
Motion to close, Rachel Grieger, Grieger.
Thank you, Rachel. Is there a second?
I second it.
Can you state your name, please?
Gary Muckala, Muckala.
Thank you, sir. It's been moved and seconded that nominations for District 3 be closed. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Would the two nominees stand? To the best of your knowledge, do you meet the qualifications for director? If so, please answer yes.
Yes.
All right, so after the meeting, I'll come find you, get some information, and we'll send out the packet of information for you, get your email and phone number and that type of thing. Now, would either of you like to say anything? I'll start with Mike as the incumbent. You can just say a few words, and then Perry, you can as well.
Yeah, thanks for the nomination. And I've joined the board about 6 years ago. My background is in power plants. I work for a small modular nuclear reactor company, and luckily I get to do it right here in God's country. So I have a really good background in the electric power industry. I used to work for Dairyland Power Cooperative many years ago, so I have a really good working knowledge. And being the Great River Energy representative, I've learned a lot and established a lot of contacts that allowed me to make quite an impact on and really speak up for Lake Region at our generation and transmission company as well. So I welcome your vote. I really appreciate that when the annual meeting comes around, and that's a little bit about me, and I welcome anyone to come and talk to me and ask me any questions that you may have, and I know many of you have over the last 6 years, and we hopefully try to get those resolved if you have any issues or anything. So thank you very much.
Barry?
So good evening, and thanks for everybody attending, and thank you, Cheech, for the nomination. A little bit of my background: I live about a half a mile south of here. Been there 23 years. Whoa, I did the same thing.
Yeah, you did the same thing. There you go.
There we go. I'll keep my hands out of that. So anyway, I worked for Outer Tail Power for 15 years. Most of that as a power lineman. And then I also worked for 3 years in the power plant at Hoot Lake in Fergus Falls. And currently I work for M-State at Wadena as the college lab instructor. So I feel like my background qualifies me to, have a pretty good insight moving forward as far as, how we generate our power and distribute it and so on. So anyway, thank you very much, and look forward to the rest of the meeting.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Perry. Since there are only 2 candidates nominated tonight, there is no need for a vote. So Mark and Kurt are off the hook. They don't have to do anything. And both Mike and Perry will be listed on the ballot for the annual meeting in April. Mike, as the incumbent, will be listed first, and then Perry. And then if there is any petition candidate that comes forward after the district meeting, they will be listed on the ballot as well. So there will be an election for District 3 at the annual meeting in April. Thank you, everyone. And now I would invite our CEO, Tim Thompson, to come up and give his remarks. Tim?
Thank you, Chad. I'm not going to touch that. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here tonight to participate in your district meeting. These district meetings are such an important part of your cooperative. It's a great opportunity for members to come together at the local grassroots level, an opportunity to visit with your board of directors and the several Lake Region employees who are here, and most importantly, to be directly involved in the nominations process for your board of directors. So thank you for being here, and thank you for your member engagement. At Lake Region, we want to have a high level of member engagement. On the screen here, those colorful dots across our large service territory, each one of those dots represents a location where we've had some form of member engagement over the last 3 years. Examples of those engagement opportunities are things like this district meeting. We do 3 of those each year. Our Coffee with the Co-op program, where we'll set up a time, invite members into a local cafe in their neighborhood, and just sit down and have a cup of coffee and a donut and talk about things. A great way to interact and engage with the membership. We do member appreciation events. We had one this past year in Maplewood State Park, at Glendalough State Park the year before. We do safety demonstrations in schools. Our linemen do a fantastic job of educating our youth on how to play it safe around electricity. And we also have a virtual option for members to engage with us called the Energy Corner. If you're interested in that, please let us know. It's an electronic way we can communicate with members and give them additional information and things happening in the industry. Yeah, let us know if you have any interest in that. Our biggest member engagement opportunity is our annual meeting. Used to be in June, now it's in April. With our 3 locations, the primary one, Fergus Falls, we can live stream that event into the Frazee Community Center as well as the Parkers Prairie Event Center. 98% of our members live within 25 miles of one of these 3 locations. We simply want to make it as easy as possible for our members to join us at the annual meeting. And with this new 3-site model we have, over 1,300 people attended the annual meeting this past year. With all the industry changes that we hear about and read about, we established a new engagement opportunity called our Energy Forum. Hard to believe this is going to be our 4th one already this year, but this is really an opportunity for members who want to take a deeper dive on energy issues. We want to connect our members with industry leaders who we will invite in. They will give presentations on a variety of energy topics. Just a great way to have a conversation with a lot of industry experts. Following those presentations, we'll have smaller group breakout sessions where we can talk about things like our load control programs, our residential standby generator program that we have, as well as our Go West solar offering for our members. The forum is going to be at Thumper Pond this year, again, on June 6th. We also are going to have another Member Appreciation Day this year. It's going to be at Phelps Mill Park. What a beautiful place that is. If you haven't been there, there'll be food for everybody. There's no cost to get into the park that day for Lake Region members. Just come out and have some fun and engage. We will have our electrical safety demonstration trailer there. Our linemen will be demonstrating. We'll have our electric bicycles there if you're interested in pedaling one of those. And we'll have a couple of electric vehicles there if you want to kick the tires or take one of those for a ride. Well, I am so pleased to share with you the results of our 2024 member satisfaction survey. When we asked the membership that question of overall, how satisfied are you with Lake Region Electric Cooperative? Again, we scored a 9 out of 10, 3 consecutive years of a 9. You can see the upward positive trend of our member satisfaction in recent years. The most valuable part of that survey is your actual verbatim comments that you give us. Some of those comments are very inspiring to us. Some of those comments point out things where we can improve upon. Maybe you live in an area where you've had too many outages, as an example, or maybe you think our rates are too high, as another example. 33,715 people participated in that survey this year. That is wonderful. I just wanted to share that quote at the top of the screen there. It says, they really care for and serve the members. To me, that is exactly what we aspire to do at Lake Region. You know, in our world today, we don't control much anymore, it seems, but we do control how we care for and serve others. And I think maybe that's why we do score so high, as well as stories like this. Talk about service and care for our membership. Here's a scenario we had. 1 o'clock in the middle of the night, a call comes in. Lineman responds to a power outage, heads out into the dark. That scene over there with that pickup truck who'd gone off the road, smashed into some more of our equipment, caused the power outage. They responded at 1 a.m. They got to the scene. They needed a second crew. They knew they needed a backhoe to get this back in service quickly. Second crew came in. We did have to wait for a tow truck to remove the pickup. But by 5 a.m., that's what it looked like, and the power was fully restored by our linemen. Just a great story. Just amazing to me, the things they do out there to serve us, and members had power as they get up that morning. We continue to reinvest heavily in our local distribution grid. What this chart shows is a downward trend over the years of our outage times per member. So if you go back to that side of the screen, back in 2004, for example, on average, a member at Lake Region was out of power for 4.4 hours per year. You can see that's come down at the end of 24 here, 1.7 hours, about a 61% decrease in outage times over the years. A lot of good reasons for that. Again, the investments we are making in our grid, those improvements, I'll talk about those. A lot of tree clearing that we are doing these days, I'm going to talk about that, as well as using technology that's going to allow us to prevent outages for you. One of the examples of how we are prioritizing reliability for you is our local distribution grid improvement program. With all the data and technology that we have today, we now know where those worst performing circuits are on our system. We identified those. The 10 areas where the members are experiencing the most outages, that's what shows up in these green areas on this map. We gave those 10 areas to our linemen. We asked them to go out and put their eyes on each 10 of those areas, come up with ideas and recommendations on how we could serve the members in those areas better. They did a fantastic job, brought those ideas back. We have now worked all those projects in those 10 areas. All the work is complete, and the results show that for the 3,921 members in those 10 areas, they are now experiencing 75% less outage times. Now that we've completed this original 10, we're going to do the same thing again. Find the next 10 areas where the outages are the most prominent and work those areas as well, continuing to try to improve reliability for you. Another way we are prioritizing reliability is with our construction work plan. Here's the map here in the center of the screen for District 3. Just wanted to highlight a few of the construction work plan projects that have been done in this area. The first one is in the green there, the Corliss Township. That project was about a $425,000 project to install about 2.5 miles of underground line and retire bad poles. It's kind of a theme, trying to replace old overhead lines with underground to improve reliability. In the Otto Township, a couple of projects there. One a $67,000 project, another one being about a $103,000 project. Again, converted overhead distribution on Oak Point Beach to underground and removed poles around some houses and trees. And the last one there in Otto Township, revising a line to underground along County Road 14. Anytime we can take an overhead line and go underground with it. We're going to improve the reliability there. Another way we are prioritizing your reliability is with new technology. It's called the Exactor technology, and this is all about trying to be proactive using this technology. You know, it's no longer good enough just to run to the problem. Now we can try to prevent problems from happening, and what this Exactor technology does is it helps us find a small problem on the system before it becomes a big problem and causes a power outage for members. Approximately 35% of our outages are caused by equipment failure or unknown causes. How this Exactor technology works, starting on the left-hand side there, that Lake Region pickup with that equipment on the hood, that's part of the Exactor technology. That technology in that vehicle at regular speed limits traveling down the road parallel to the power line, it's sensing that power line. And it's collecting data. And you make a couple round trips, it's collected enough data to give us exact locations where it says, go to these exact locations and do further analysis. So that's what the lineman there is doing. He's got that handheld device. He's pointing that up at the hardware, the equipment on the top of that pole, and he's scanning it. And if it makes a particular sound, we know we've found a piece of equipment that's got a small problem. We want to get it changed out before it causes a power outage for you. One example of the things we find is like a bad insulator. It's easy to see on this big screen with all the lights and a zoom-in picture of that insulator. You can see that that's got some issues, right? You can see where it's been arcing. It's very hard to see from the ground with the naked eye. And so that's an example of how this Exactor technology helps us find a small problem out there. What this picture shows then is doing the actual work to replace that issue that we discovered. You can see there's two poles there. The linemen are, they've set a new pole to replace the old pole and all the hardware at the top of that pole. And want to point out that that job is being done while that power line stays energized. So nobody in that area is experiencing a power outage, even when they go out and fix that. The other benefit of this is by identifying the problem proactively, you can see that we're out there during normal work hours, a nice, fairly blue sky type of a day, doing that work. If we wait till that piece of equipment fails, it might be at night, it might be in a storm, right? And that's, so from a safety standpoint, it's good for our employees as well. Since we started this program in 2020, we've scanned 1,844 miles of power line with plans to do our entire overhead system. We found 345 what we call pre-fail condition types of equipment, and we've addressed 265 of those issues. Another way that we are prioritizing your reliability is with our vegetation management program, and we're using some new technology here called AI technology. 32% of our outages are caused by trees. This year alone, in 2025, the board approved $2.6 million worth of tree clearing. Ken Hendricks just here. How much was it when you were back when you were on the board, Ken? Maybe 1 million? Anyway, we've really increased it over the years, and now we're up to $2.6 million for 2025. How this AI technology works is satellite imagery of our system is captured from multiple angles. This AI technology monitors the clearances between the power line and the tree and produces a comprehensive plan for tree trimming and tree clearing for us. Really helps us manage our big system. And of course, our goal is to serve you with the best-in-class vegetation management program. This is all about your safety and your reliability. Here's some of the areas that we have done tree clearing right here in District 3 since 2022. These kind of burnt orange colored lines are the power lines that we've trimmed since 2022. And just want to show you, here's what we're going to be doing this year in 2025 in these lighter green areas. I can't say enough about how much we appreciate the cooperation. When our guys are out there, Cars Tree Service out there, for example, that the communication and the cooperation to get the adequate clearances that we need. Again, this is all about safety and reliability, and if we can get the adequate clearances, that helps us save costs over the long run. Switching gears a little bit to our rate strategy. Our rate strategy is all about engaging with our members to control costs and create new revenue streams to keep our rates as low as possible. This strategy has worked pretty well in the last several years. We've had only 3 rate changes over the last 13 years. Here's a question we get. How do our rates compare to other Minnesota co-ops? What this chart shows is each bar is a different electric cooperative, part of our peer group, as we call it. The height of the bar represents the cost of 1,000 kilowatt hours for the month at each different co-op. So co-op L here, with the highest bar, that's the most expensive. Not that many years ago, Lake Region was kind of in the middle or maybe a little higher than average. Today, for 1,000 kilowatt hours, Lake Region is in the green, the lowest cost of our peer group. There's a lot of reasons for that. One of those reasons is the positive impact of member participation. We have 9,823 members who are part of our load control program. That allows us to control over 14,000 loads on those peak days, those cold winter days, those hot summer days. What this chart shows, this is data from a cold January day last year. The blue line that becomes yellow, that represents the total amount of electricity as we go through the day that all of us as Lake Region members are consuming. So we know this is going to be a peak day, and we don't want to have a peak where that yellow part is, because that gets very expensive for us. We want to be low on this chart. So our load in the blue starts out there in the morning at 11 a.m. We get to noon, and a little past noon, we implement the control. Instead of that line going up, which is going to be expensive, we can control our loads, bring our load down to this point here. So at 6 p.m., when the Great River Energy entire system peaked, wherever our peak and wherever our usage is at that point, that's how many units we got to buy and pay for. So we want to be, instead of being up on that 90,000 line, we're down here in that 70,000 line. That saved us about $400,000 for January of last year. Keeps our costs low, helps us keep your rates low. Another example of why our rates are lowest in our peer group is because we have such productive employees that achieve really amazing results, in my opinion. We have dedicated employees. We've implemented technology. We've used innovation to increase productivity by 67% since the year 2005. If you start over there in 2005, for every 1 employee at Lake Region, we could serve 260 members, okay? You can see how that blue line increased over the years. Today, for every 1 employee, we can serve 436 members. That is a 67% increase in productivity. That line across there, that's the other co-ops. So you can see back in 2005, our blue line, we were actually below average. Today, we are significantly above average, thanks to everybody for their hard work, their dedication, and innovation in our organization. Productivity increases leads to lower cost. And here's how our A&G cost, administrative and general costs, compare today to back in 2006. In 2006, in the middle of the screen there, our administrative and general costs, $3.1 million. Today, $2.8 million on a per customer basis. That was $125 for A&G costs. Today, it's down to $94. Our A&G costs at Lake Region Electric Cooperative are the lowest in the state of Minnesota, and there's 44 co-ops in Minnesota. The other statistic at the bottom there, the total cost of delivering service to our consumers ranks among the 10th lowest in the nation. There's over 800 co-ops. We're one of the best. We're in the top 10% in terms of our cost to deliver electricity to our membership. Another big part of our strategy has been to create these new revenue streams and come up with new ways to reduce our costs. One of those is our wind solar hybrid project. That's one big wind turbine and a solar farm coupled together in one project. So we're harnessing the wind and the sun in one project. And the beautiful thing about this is it's not only local, clean, renewable energy, but it interconnects directly into the distribution grid that Lake Region members already own. It didn't need any expensive transmission lines or anything like that. Direct production and input into our system, and that power is consumed by our members, and it saves us money each year. Our standby generator program. We now have sold, installed, and maintain over 500 standby generators for our members. If you're interested in a standby generator, love to talk to you. Our investment in Cars Tree Service, we're spending $2.6 million on tree clearing in 2025. I hope it just makes good sense that we'd maybe want to own part of a company that does that kind of work for us, or a local company. They're really a good company. And so now as an owner, not only do they do our work for us, but as an owner, we share in that financial success. And when they have financial success, that's allocated back to us. RESCO is a cooperative model for material supply that we're part owner of. Same thing, as we buy material from RESCO, as they have financial success, that is allocated back to us, helping us keep our rates as low as possible. And then our natural gas company that we started, just not that many years ago from scratch, a new company, bringing natural gas to areas who have never had it before, helping people switch from propane to natural gas and saving money on their heating and drying costs. That too is profitable. That too helps us allocate costs off of the electric co-op into the gas company and recover those fixed costs through the rates of the natural gas company, again, keeping your rates as low as possible. These 5 things in 2024 created about $1.3 million worth of what we call positive rate benefits for our members. In other words, if we weren't doing these things, your board of directors would have to collect over $1 million more in your rates each year. So we've had a pretty good run in this green period of time, some relative rate stability, but those things are changing, and the industry is changing, and the cost of electricity is projected to be going up, and I wanted to talk about that. Of course, one of the big things that's driving costs up for electricity, like everything else in our world, is inflation. This shows the year over year, either deflation or inflation. We actually had some deflation back there in those red years. But since the year 2020, for the basket of goods that we buy as a utility, all those products, we've experienced 43% inflation since 2020. Let's apply that to some costs. Let's say in 2020, our work plan was $10 million. That same amount of goods we needed in 2020 that was $10 million, that's now $14.8 million. The other big change is interest rates. Back in 2020, we could borrow money at 1.3%. Today, that's 4.7%. Has a big financial impact on our organization. Another thing that's driving costs is this energy transition. I just want to give you an overview. This chart goes back to 2001. So back in 2001, that top line up there, the black line, that represents coal and how much of the electricity in our nation back in 2001 came from coal. You can see it's over half back then, and it's really dropped off over the years, as you might expect. The opposite is true for natural gas, the blue line. It was fairly low, and it has increased significantly over the years, and that will continue to increase. The nuclear, the green line, fairly stable, fairly flat. And then the red line is the renewables, wind, solar, that type of power generation, and that's gone up, and that too will continue to go up. Take a little deeper dive on this coal issue. The trend there, coal as an energy source is down from 52% in the year 2001 to 16% at the end of 2023. This is primarily due to economics and the capital improvements needed in those plants to reduce emissions. Most plants, coal plants, were designed and built as base load power plants, as they're called. That's really great from a reliability standpoint. They come online and they're going to run 24/7, giving us that reliability that we really want and need. For Great River Energy, our power supplier that we own part of, where most of our power comes from, during this transition, they actually built a new power plant called Spiritwood Station in North Dakota. That came online in 2014. That was built to run off of either coal or natural gas. It started off mostly on coal, and it too has kind of changed over and now runs more off of natural gas. And that plant is doing very well for Great River Energy. Stanton Station, that was a smaller, older, less efficient plant. That was shut down in 2017. And then Coal Creek Station, the large coal-fired power plant in North Dakota, the GRE did own, They sold that to Rainbow in the year 2022 and have a contract with Rainbow to buy power from Rainbow. More natural gas, as you saw on the graph, natural gas is continuing to increase. Natural gas is up from 17% back in 2001 to 43% at the end of 2023. These 4 power plants are the natural gas-fired power plants that Great River Energy owns here in Minnesota. Not only are they natural gas-fired plants, but the Pleasant Valley, Elk River, and Lakefield Junction, they also have on-site backup fuel oil. So if there's any issues with the natural gas supply, for reliability purposes, they can quickly switch over to the fuel oil and continue to run. Cambridge, they're in the process of installing the same dual fuel capability there. Hopefully that will be done here in 2025. The other innovative thing that Great River Energy is doing at Cambridge is they're installing a big battery. We hear a lot about batteries and battery storage. The technology of this battery is called iron air battery. And the idea with this battery is it's supposed to give us a long discharge period. In Minnesota, polar vortexes, etc., we don't need 2 or 4 hour discharges. We need 2 or 4 days of discharge. And that's kind of a first of its kind project. And we're going to learn a lot about that iron air technology here in the coming years. So as David Sayu says there, the CEO of GRE, we have a fleet of modern natural gas plants in Minnesota that provides all hours reliability for us. Other part of the energy transition that Mike touched on too was this Minnesota carbon-free standard by 2040 that was signed into law by Governor Walz in 2023. This requires all electricity to come from a carbon-free source by the year 2040. GRE, Great River Energy, is working to meet that standard, and here's one of the big ways they are going to do that. GRE has always been a leader in renewable energy. They currently have 967 megawatts of wind energy now. They are working on an additional 1,111 megawatts of wind energy between now and 2028. One of the really neat things, smart things that GRE is doing, they're going to locate some of these wind farms close to natural gas-fired power plants. These peaking plants that they own, because they're designed to run only when we need that power during those peak days, again, hot summer days, cold winter days, those plants only run 3 to 5% of the time. So by locating these wind farms near there, they can kind of piggyback on the interconnection that they already have into the bulk transmission system. That can be a very expensive, long drawn-out process. And by locating these wind farms near those gas plants, it's going to be quicker and easier and a lot less cost to get that production of the wind back onto the grid, helping us keep our costs as low as possible. The other big part of this transition that we're kind of on the front end of is the transmission build out. And what I'm going to describe is referred to as phase 1, or maybe you've heard of tranche 1. But there's a total cost of $10 billion in part of phase 1 of new transmission that's going to be built in the upper Midwest across 5 Midwestern states. Great River Energy is going to be building and owning some of that build out, and that's what I want to talk about. For Great River Energy, they're going to invest about $942 million in this phase 1 of this transmission build out. The first project there is called the Northland Reliability Project. You can see on the map there, it starts down by the Big Oaks substation, the Big Lake area, goes up to St. Cloud, Brainerd, Aitken area, all the way up to the Iron Range near Grand Rapids. That new transmission line is scheduled to be built by the year 2030. It's going to be 180 miles of double circuit, 345 kV transmission line. 345 kV transmission line, that's the type of line that runs along I-94. It was built here not too many years ago, like from, say, that stretch between Alexandria and Fergus Falls. If you can visualize that newer power line there, that's a 345 transmission line, same voltage as this. The second one is the Alexandria to Big Oaks area. That, too, is scheduled to be completed by the year 2030. That's 106 miles of new transmission line. Again, 345 kV, very large voltage there. These phase 1 projects are going to be built. They are needed for reliability due to retired generations. As some power plants have been shut down, we need that additional transmission to get that power from where it is produced to where it is consumed. So that's phase one. Here's phase two, almost $22 billion, again, across multiple states. These are the three projects that Great River Energy is going to be involved in and part owner of. The first one at the top there, kind of to the north of us, is from Maple River to Cuyuna. That's about $1 billion project. GRE's portion of that is going to be about $270 million to $380 million, 160 miles of new 345 kVA transmission line. The number two there, the blue one, runs right through Lake Region's service territory from Bison to Alexandria. Total cost of $200 to $300 million. GRE's portion of that, again, $50 million to $70 million range, 136 miles of new transmission line, and they're going to string a second circuit on that existing 345 that runs along I-94 there. And the big one down at the bottom of the screen in southern Minnesota, Lakefield to Pleasant Valley to North Rochester. That's a $1.4 billion to $2 billion project. GRE's investment is that is $620 to $950 million, 170 miles of new single circuit 765 kVA transmission line. This will be the first 765 kVA line in the state of Minnesota. There's other states, other parts of the nation that have 765. This will be the first in Minnesota, and GRE is going to be heavily involved with it and part owner of it. These projects really are this extra high voltage that really kind of unlocks the wind energy. All these wind farms are being built. These projects really will help not only with reliability, but it'll help alleviate what's called transmission congestion, congestion on the transmission system. It'll allow power to be moved around bigger parts of the country in a much more efficient way. So we've talked about a lot, from inflation to the energy transition to this massive build out of transmission lines over the coming decade or so. Here are the things that are driving Great River Energy's wholesale power cost that's increasing our cost by about 7% here in January. So starting January 1, our cost of power from Great River Energy went up about 7%. And so these are those rate drivers of why that increased for Lake Region. One is, like we just talked, that the more transmission build out, that's going to drive up cost. GRE is having to hire more people. They're increasing their staff for this transmission build out, transmission planners, transmission design engineers, transmission engineers, etc. They've hired people already. That's driving up cost. Financing. GRE is budgeting for increased debt and interest rates for this transmission build out. And then they're increasing their margin. For many years, GRE has had about a $23 million bottom line or margin. Well, now with all these transmission investments and assets on their balance sheet, a $23 million margin is not going to meet the financial requirements of the bankers and the rating agencies and those types of entities. So that needs to be increased to $45 million. So that means they're going to have to collect more from us to increase their margin up to $45 million. And the fifth reason is just power supply. Projected costs for the wholesale market are going to be higher. You know, the supply of electricity, everything we build in the future is probably going to be more expensive than the old stuff we had. And then the demand for electricity, which is really changing and could potentially go up significantly. We've all probably heard and read about the potential data centers that are coming online. They use a ton of electricity, and that's going to put additional demand on the system. So all those things lead to a 7% rate increase from GRE to Lake Region. And so the question is, how do we handle that? And we need to pass that increased cost on to the membership. And so here's how it affects us at the individual membership level. Your board of directors has made the decision to pass that increase on to the members in the form of a power cost adjustment, or PCA. We've got a PCA line on our bill. In the past, it's been typically very small. Maybe if you've noticed that, sometimes it can be an adder and sometimes it can be a reduction, but there's a PCA line on the bill. This cost will be added to that, and it equates to about 6.5 mils, if you will. But what that means is, for a customer who uses 1,000 kilowatt hours for the month, it'd be a $6.50 increase for the month. And in terms of percentage, that's about a 4.8% increase. So costs are going up. What can we do about it? We're going to continue to try to innovate and provide you with new tools in your tool belt to combat some of those higher costs. One of the things on the drawing board right now is a new smart thermostat pilot program. We believe this would allow Lake Region to actively work with members to avoid peaks and maximize energy cost savings for you. This would be started as a pilot program. What I mean by that is it'd just be a small number of members that we could work with in a pilot to make sure it works before we would roll it out on a bigger scale. We estimate that about 4,800 of our members already have a smart thermostat in their home. If I could use myself as an example, got a smart set on the wall of my house, got a smartphone with me. So we at the co-op can communicate to both the smartphone and to the smart thermostat. And how this would potentially work is, let's say next summer, got a hot day coming. We know there's going to be a large load demand on the system. We can communicate with the members, of course, ahead of time. Tomorrow's going to be hot. Good chance there's going to be a peak. We need to control your air conditioner. So in my house, what would happen is prior to the load control event starting, we could pre-cool my house. So if I normally have my thermostat at, let's just say 75, we could pre-cool it down to 72. As an example, my air conditioner would be controlled through that expensive period that we talked about earlier. And then through that period, through that control, my temperature would gradually rise. And so we don't think there'd be a big impact in terms of member comfort, but we could produce savings. And in this pilot program, we would measure that and quantify that and figure out a way to give that savings back to the member in some type of an innovative rate. So continuing to look for ways to help you reduce your power costs if we can. The other exciting thing that we're right on the edge of getting a final answer on this is New Era funding. This New Era funding is a federal program. It was part of the IRA designed specifically for electric co-ops to receive federal dollars to do renewable projects. If we're successful in getting these funds, and literally should find out this week, those dollars would be applied towards a new solar farm in our area. This funding would basically reduce the cost of the output of that solar array by about 25%. We're looking at about a $2.3 million project, 2 megawatts of solar. We would not own it or operate it. A solar company would do that. We'd simply buy the power out of it. And we think that's smart because that's a hedge against future GRE rate increases. In the contract, we could lock into a 20-year flat rate. And so as we go forward, this power would stay at a flat rate while the other costs go up, helping us mitigate some of those future increases. Seriously, this week we should find out on this. We've been working on this for quite a while. It would be great news for us and for Great River Energy. Our application is really driven by Great River Energy. Several distribution co-ops like us and Great River Energy put together a joint application, and we hope to find out this week. For Great River Energy, those dollars would be used towards those new wind farms that they are going to build. Again, reducing costs 25%, so it's a really, really big deal. If there's an announcement that's made this week, it'd come from the USDA. So if you hear something on the news about it, it's good news. Well, I've talked about a lot here, but think about the value of electricity and the power of the penny. Electricity just brings so much convenience and comfort to our lives. For 1 penny, you can charge a phone 17 times. For me, that gives me about a month's worth of usage and all the things that does in my life. It's pretty amazing. For a penny, you can heat a 1,100-watt microwave for about 5 minutes. Came in handy after Christmas and New Year's, all the leftovers. For a penny, you can provide 10 hours of reading by a lamp in your home. So still a super good value in terms of what we can get from our electricity. Well, how did we do in 2024 financially? The headline for us for 2024, as we all know, last winter was pretty mild. No complaints on that. This fall, pretty mild. Not a whole lot of grain drying, right, Gary? Not as much as normal. So that had an impact on our top line of revenue. Our sales were lower than we had budgeted for, but still, with good cost control, good, just managing our costs, still a nice bottom line there of almost $3.5 million. With a solid margin like that, the equity of your cooperative continues to grow. $71 million of equity on the balance sheet. You know, that's tripled since 2005. Your board of directors, again, with that strong balance sheet and financial strength, again, made that decision to retire capital credits over $1.2 million last year, 12 consecutive years of payouts of over $1 million back to the members. And wow, now we're over the $40 million mark in terms of the total capital credits paid back to members since the first year of retirements back in 1958. Continue to do a lot of community involvement. We have these big American flags that we fly at our annual meeting and those types of things. Other organizations like Western Minnesota Steam Thrashers Association asked us if we could bring a couple of big bucket trucks up and fly that flag for their event. We did that. We do the safety demonstrations in the schools. We have the Boo Bash. We've started a new thing. This will be the third year now that we've done a Minnesota Twins baseball clinic. Wonderful opportunity for the kids in our community. And we continue to host safety events for the kids at our headquarters in Pelican Rapids. One of the best programs we have to help our community and help others is our Operation Roundup program. Thank you all who are part of it. This is where you can round up your power bill each month to the next dollar. So on average, it's 50 cents a month. That small change goes into the Operation Roundup Fund. This group of people over there are volunteer Lake Region members. They decide where those dollars are paid out to in the community. Just many examples, not too far from here, the Bluffton Fire Department received a nice Operation Roundup contribution there for some of their needs and equipment. Lake Region has now distributed over $776,000 through this program to help people in our community since it was started back in 2007. Just want to show you a quick video from Camp Joy, if you're familiar with them. They've been a recipient of the Operation Roundup dollars and give you a feel for how appreciative these organizations are.
Hi, my name's Tyler Tracy, Executive Director for Camp Joy. Camp Joy has utilized Operation Roundup for the past 3 years, and most recently, we used Operation Roundup for our girls' bathroom. The girls' bathroom funds were used to improve our facility. We actually tore down the existing building and built a brand new building due to the previous conditions were not safe and not sanitary for our campers. The fund helped us raise funds to offset costs to get this project done. Camp Joy started in 1941 on Lake Lida, and after 2 years moved over to Star Lake. For the past 80 years, we have relied on volunteers to run our camp, but just recently hired a new executive director in November 2023. Camp Joy starts in June and runs through August. We, on average, will have about 550 campers, 70 volunteers, and over 40 staff help serve this camp.
Just a great example of how our cooperative is making a difference in our communities and lives of people that we serve. As always, in my closing, I like to say I hope that you feel that your cooperative is committed to serving you. And if you don't feel that way, please let us know. We'd love to talk to you about that. We're here to serve you. You are the member owners, and we're the servants, and that's our job, is to serve you. So, again, hope you feel that we're committed to serving you. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yeah, love to take some questions. That's really good for all of us to hear from our members and what's on your mind. But I'm sure Mike could do a really good job of answering them. Yes.
Are you guys doing more gas line expansion?
Great question. We have it now. The kind of the capacity of the lines that we have are somewhat full in the markets we're in today. There's not a lot of expansion opportunity right there. So the short answer is no, but we are continuing to look at some other areas that we could possibly bring gas to, but you can imagine how difficult that is. Just the cost of the equipment we need and the material with this inflation in recent years, it's always been hard to justify bringing natural gas to the areas that didn't have it like we've done. And now with inflation, the material and things are even higher. It makes it even higher. But there are at least one area that we're going to probably look at this year again, just to see if we couldn't expand it. Yeah. Thanks for that question. The people who we've brought it to, they give us tremendous positive feedback, and from their satisfaction, like 9.3 out of 10. Yeah. Yes.
What is the lifeline of the wind power towers, and how do you dispose of the batteries when they're done?
The life of it.
Yeah, how long do they last?
Wind turbines, a long time, like the ones we've been involved with, we signed like a 20-year agreement for the output of that wind turbine, and then it can be extended. So probably somewhere in that 20 to 25 range, maybe even longer. Yeah, and they keep getting bigger and bigger. Yeah, as far as the recycling issue, that's a big issue. Long term, that technology's got to come around to be able to recycle, or whatever we're going to do with both the wind blades and the batteries. I don't know if I can be very more specific on that. Anybody else in the room have a better answer?
And I have another question. How dangerous is it to live near those power lines that have that high voltage?
Who can answer that one for me? Yeah, you want to take a crack at it?
Yeah, I can take a crack at it. You're talking the large 345 lines that we're talking about in these major build-outs. Any power line, smaller, large, they have a EMF field, for example, but I don't know if there's any studies that show, boy, if you live within a mile, you're in trouble or anything like that. I don't know if there's anything definite anyone can tell you, here's the magic number, if that's what you're looking for.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I understood that the output from the large generators was put directly into the system. What batteries are they referring to?
Which battery is that?
She was asking how long the batteries last.
Oh, the batteries last. Boy,
I didn't know that there were batteries for each individual tower.
no. Just batteries in general, whether it's in an electric vehicle or these other batteries that are coming on for storage.
Sounded like her question was involved with batteries for a wind generating tower.
Yeah.
No, so I can answer that. Yes, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, you see all the wind towers in southern Minnesota. Not everyone has a battery attached to it, right? You make a distinct decision to install a battery, like a grid scale battery, which is a very large battery to take up the peak that Tim was talking about. Those are in the 100 megawatts, 160 megawatts. They're usually stationed at substations around the system. We don't have one in our system right now. No. GRE doesn't. He mentioned the one that's coming in at Form at the Cambridge station where the peaker's at. That's coming. It's a different type of battery. But right now, we don't have any in our system.
Anyone else? All right.
Well, I'll just wrap things up and want to thank you, everyone, for coming. A little reminder about our annual meeting again. It'll be held on April 24th at 6:30 p.m. And unless you want to drive all the way down to Fergus Falls, there's a closer venue, either at Parker's Prairie or Frazee Event Center. we welcome you out there to join us. But I thank you for your questions. And if you have any further questions or just want to ask it in the room, you can. The staff is around to answer those. So please be safe while you drive home and the little bit of snow that is out there. Thank you.